So probably about 10 years ago on this piece of property, we installed 5 trailers. And the trailers were meant to be rentals for workers that were here. Well, after the people left, we had these trailers sitting here. So we gave away 3 of our trailers to local people who needed a place to live. But we kept this trailer here, and then we added the front part of Naomi's shop here. And so this is just something that we could do. We didn't have to borrow any money. We just did it as we had the money to do it. And it created a nice space for her to have her items on display, her retail store. And then through here, she has an area where she works. This is her creative area.
Not today.
Not today.
I don't have the work table out.
So this is where she creates jewelry and things like that.
But not today.
Not today. And we added this room on this summer. We have a partition here. So it's a little barn door. And it allows us to go into now what is called the Seashell Museum.
Seashell.
So this is the actual front of the trailer. You see the windows. We cut the tongue off, the part that you tow it with.
Uh-huh.
And then we added a sink that's made out of a tamale bucket. and
it's working.
It works, of course it does. We try really hard to recycle as much as possible. So these are old pipes that turned into a lamp. All of these shelves was something else in the past, and we just reused them, cleaned them, and reused them. So much recycling. This painting that my daughter Bethany did, this is actually wood from her backyard, from a fence that fell down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we don't throw anything away. This is a neat piece of Americana. This is called a roto bin. It's a toolbox.
Okay.
It's or a parts box. It's where you put parts in here for mechanical or plumbing or whatever, and then you put a little label on the front to say what it is. This used to be in every hardware store in the United States back in the 1950s and the 1960s. And we found it next door to our house at our mechanic's yard who had parts for cars stored in it. So we made a deal, and now it's the home for the seashells that people can look at.
Oh, my.
This used to be the garage where we parked our jet ski, and now it's part of the Seashell Museum.
It's going to be open on Friday, right?
The soft opening is Friday at 10, yes.
So you're working on this?
Yeah.
For how long?
When did we start?
35 years ago.
No, I mean, not we as in we.
June,
we started
probably.
building this in early summer. Yeah, it was going to be the summer project. It just kind of lasted a little bit longer to get it ready.
It's beautiful.
Well, there's all kinds of little displays, and you'll have to get pictures of some of this stuff. I mean, they're probably like, I don't know, 85, 90% finished, but there's a few things that aren't quite detailed yet. So, I don't know what you want to see.
I don't know.
But for instance, okay, so probably everybody's seen these shells. They're like, you eat them, right? You eat what's inside of them.
I do?
Not you. Somebody might.
Okay.
A lot of people do. So they harvest them, and they get the little creature that lives inside of them. Pink murex, black murex. But the cool thing is that these things are their door, their front door. So I glued that one in there so you could see how it's supposed to look. See?
That's the door?
That's
So
the door.
you
So
have-
like if the creature was in there, this would be attached to the end of his little like slimy sluggy body, and he would go out, and then when he got scared or he was done socializing, he'd go in and pull the door in on himself.
Pretty crazy, huh?
Like a real house.
Like a real house. So that's kind of some of the stuff that I've been just messing around with, figuring out, learning about, because I'm not really like a seashell person as far as knowing stuff about them. I just like them. And I like them a lot. That's why I have a million or two or something.
Yeah.
And then here we did, okay, so the name of my shop from the beginning was called Off the Beach, right?
Right.
So we decided to put in a little fake beach, like if it's like low tide and you're looking at the dry, sandy beach where the high tide was. So this is my display called Off the Beach. At my shop called Off the Beach at the Seashell Museum.
That's off the
That's
beach.
good.
It's off the beach. So this is like a piece of the beach that we brought here with some pretty funky stuff that you wouldn't probably normally pick up off the beach. Like, you know, this kind of thing.
You have to look really close, right?
Yeah, because it's like if you're on the beach, you know, and you're looking and looking, and then all of a sudden you're like looking along here and like, oh my goodness, there's an old crab skeleton. And then you look along over here and oh my goodness, look what's stuck in the seaweed right here. Every once in a while you find one of these little paper thin guys. And they're usually stuck just like that in the seaweed. And you have to look really careful. And if it's windy, they'll blow away. So that's kind of, oh, look, another treasure. See a little tiny shell. So this is made as if you're walking on the beach. And you're not going to see all this stuff at the same place, but we just had to put it in, what, 8 feet? So that's...
It's like teaching people how to see the beach.
Yeah. And we're going to have it where there's a little clear glass thing here, so like little kids aren't going to be getting it, but they can still see it and kind of pretend that they're looking at the edge of the seashore. So, and then we bought this book that's like we bought 2 copies, so we have front and back pages, and we put almost the entire book out here on display. And this is I think it's like the most professionally done. This is a 2nd edition book about this specific area. I mean, it's specific to Penasco and this area right here. And so this way, when we look over here, like for instance, I just showed you that one shell, and then if we come over here, it shows you all about it right here. So that's how I sound like I know what I'm doing, because I just read this. So how's that?
This is brilliant. Where you find the book?
You can buy it at Cedo,
Setup? Okay.
and you can buy it at the Organ Pipe National Park Visitor Center up in Arizona.
Oh, okay.
On the way here. And then this big poster, did he tell you about the big poster?
No.
I designed this off of a lot of research material and photos and maps that I found. I have all the reference material for it, but basically it's discussing kind of in detail specifically the Hohokam jewelry and kind of specifically the bracelets that they made. So we were looking to try to find the exact shell that they used to make these bracelets. So here's like a picture of a display of them, and those are some really pretty ones up there. There's some that also have turquoise inlaid on them. And so they made these bracelets, but we've been unable to find a shell that's big enough, well, to make a bracelet for me, but they might have had a smaller bone structure. The shells may have been a little bit bigger back then, I don't know, but basically, I'll show you the shells. I'll show you what I found.
So you haven't found any of...
No, these are the shells
Oh.
that the bracelets are made from, and you can tell that this is like right in this area right here specifically is where you know you can kind of see that that's how they were. That's the shell that they used, and then down here it shows also from another book, well, from the Tidewalker book. So these are the shells they used, but we haven't been able to find any shells that are, you know, they'd have to be about that big to try to get your hand through it for a bracelet. And we haven't found any of those because Russ was going to experiment and see if we could just kind of replicate it with modern tools. Obviously, it would have been a lot more time consuming for them to make it.
Right, the tools that they used were really cool. They would grind the shell on a piece of lava rock, and then they would chip with another tool until they got the circle cut out. And so it took them a long time. And you think about these Indians that were living here, I don't know how many thousands of years ago, and they would be 400, 500, 600 of them sitting along the coast, having basically a camping trip in the summer or in the winter. They came here when it was cold up north, and they would eat all of the clams and the little mussels, and then they would make jewelry out of the shells.
Oh.
And there are areas here in Puerto Peñasco where you can see evidence of these kitchens. They call them shell middens or kitchens, where they would be for who knows how many months and then go back up and trade what they had, the salt and the jewelry, for other things that they needed, all the way into Colorado, and maybe even north of there, but for sure Colorado.
But I didn't know anything about this really, like, what, maybe a year ago?
A year ago.
And so I started just wanting to do a little display in here that kind of talks about it. I mean, not highly professional, but just what we could learn about it. So in November, we were in Arizona. We went to Montezuma Castle in Arizona. Do you know where Montezuma Castle is? It's like between... Yeah, it's like between Camp Verde, between Cottonwood and Sedona, and there's a huge Indian ruin, you know, kind of rebuilt on the side of the hill, cliff. So we went up there, and here there's a display talking about how those Indians from up there traded with Indians that came here, and they had seashells on display, and it was pretty cool, because here, what I was trying to research about here, I saw that they had, you know, traded. Those Indians in northern Arizona may not have come down here specifically, but they at least traded with other Indians that did. For
And
sure.
that's where you find out about the Hohoham.
Yeah. I did a lot of research, and there's a lot of really long, lengthy scientific books and reports and different things that people have done over the years here. And so I read bits and pieces of the parts that weren't too boring. So anyway, that was one part of what I wanted to do. It started out that I just wanted this thing. This is all I was going to do. I was going to have this be my whole seashell collection in the bin. And then when we started talking about adding on this little room, then it got just kind of carried away. So now we have more space, which is going to be fun. I think it'll be great. And as it kind of continues to grow and get a few more things, a little bit more research, a little bit more details. So that's it.